Well, today the Biden administration announcing that it is investigating the U.S. Border Patrol. The investigation comes after progressives and the media lost their minds over this. They say these desperate attempts by Border Patrol agents to stop the flow of Haitian migrants coming over the border, they say this is inhumane. Many on the left claim the agents were using their reins like whips, and Vice President Kamala Harris is suddenly way more concerned about the actions of Border Patrol agents trying to do their jobs than the illegal aliens and the root causes of this illegal immigration that she used to talk so much about.
What I saw depicted about those individuals on horseback treating human beings the way they were is horrible. And I fully support what is happening right now, which is a thorough investigation into exactly what is going on there. But human beings should never be treated that way, and I'm deeply troubled about it.
All right, deeply troubled about it. Let's welcome in the host of Stinchfield here on Newsmax TV, Grant Stinchfield. Good afternoon, Grant.
Good afternoon, John.
I got to say this, at least Kamala Harris didn't laugh. I mean, I'm trying to look for some silver linings in this whole situation. There are none, quite frankly.
No. I can't.
Go ahead.
I can't even laugh at her on this. I mean, this is what happens when you have amateurs running the government. They have no idea that, one, Border Patrol does not carry whips. Before they were even making those comments, Border Patrol administrators had issued a statement saying they weren't whipping anybody, that they had reviewed all of the video. And in fact, I looked at all of the video. I didn't see anybody hitting any of the migrants with the reins that are used to steer a horse. And then they use them to make sure that the people don't get too close to the horse. As you can see, horses are dangerous. That's why they're used for crowd control. And by the way, John, as you know, it's illegal to cross into America. So they're stopping criminals right there. And you have a choice. Go back or run the risk of facing Border Patrol on horses. It's that simple. I don't know where the mistreatment was of anybody.
I mean, I used to know that it was illegal, Grant. I used to, believe that they were actually going to enforce these laws. But when you see, the media get all flustered about this, and then the Democrats react so quickly to what we're seeing, the only thing I'm seeing here is some pretty heroic actions by these Border Patrol officers. I've talked to these guys. The emotional stress they are under. They are being forced to get vaccines. They are being pulled in every which way. There are border posts wide open right now because they are trying to cover these areas. They don't want to build walls, Grant. I mean, the scrutiny that these guys are under, who wants to be a Border Patrol agent under these conditions?
They're in a no-win situation, as you can see right there. I mean, they're told not to take these people into custody, so they're trying to stop them with really no way to threaten them at all because they're not really taking any of them into custody as they move them underneath those bridges into the camps. What this is all about is it's just an extension of the left's war on cops, war on Border Patrol, anybody that enforces the law. They're going to try to vilify. And I do want to make one point talking about the lies of the left and the mainstream media. You heard Kamala Harris in that same interview earlier talk about how they're coming from Haiti and this war-torn country and civil war and the conditions they live in under there. Last night on our program on Stinchfield, we had another reporter on the border who talked to dozens upon dozens of these Haitians, backs up what Border Patrol was telling me. John, they're not coming from Haiti. They're coming from places like Brazil,
right,
where they've lived for 2, 3, and 4 years before coming to the United States, waiting for Joe Biden to take office and the situation to be just right so they can come on in.
Yeah, the country of origin might be Haiti, but this is a multi-country journey. None of these folks are applying for asylum in these other countries that they are traveling through, which should tell you about what their motivation actually is. All right, let's put that aside, Grant, because I also want to talk about the issue of internet censorship as it relates to the Hunter Biden laptop story. No one should be surprised that ultimately an outfit like Politico and a reporter that works for them named Ben Schreckenkinger found evidence that some of the purported Hunter Biden laptop material is actually real. And of course, the New York Post taking the opportunity here to vindicate themselves because no one else in the press is going to. They were slapped off Twitter for even mentioning that this might actually be real. But aside from Hunter Biden, we have serious questions, Grant, about Joe Biden's involvement in all these foreign business deals. We had an impeachment over some phone call, but are we ever I mean, we keep having things stack on top. I want accountability for this, but we keep having things rise to the level. We got to get accountability for Afghanistan. We got to get accountability for the border, and we still don't know about Joe Biden's involvement with Hunter in Ukrainian business deals or Chinese business deals.
I'm going to give you a little piece of evidence. You're looking at Joe Biden right there in the Cathedral of Globalism, giving his speech to the United Nations. We know that he didn't mention China once. China poses a great threat to this nation, not just economically, but also for our national security on many fronts, including the cyber front as well. So he doesn't mention China once. Xi Jinping must be licking his chops, thinking my puppet, the President of the United States, doesn't even mention our country when we are in this absolute war with America. They're out to crush us, by the way, and Joe Biden doesn't mention them. If that doesn't lend credence into what we've been accusing him of, what there's evidence clearly points to, and that's misdeeds with China and the Biden family, well, I don't know what else does. He's running cover for China. We should all be disturbed by this.
Yeah, we all have a lot of questions that remain. And you know what General Milley is doing today, right, Grant? He's meeting with his Russian counterpart in Finland. Can you imagine? You know, you could even leave General Milley as a chairman of the Joint Chiefs, but if he was meeting with his Russian counterpart while President Trump was his commander-in-chief, oh my gosh, there would be Russian collusion talk for days. So here we are.
Well,
it's amazing.
listen, General Milley ought to be fired. That's the bottom line. He needs to go, and why he's still out there having anything to do with trying to protect America when clearly, in my opinion, he put America in danger with his call to China saying, hey, we're going to give you a little tip-off if somehow we were to attack them.
Well, Grant,
I still believe it's treasonous.
You nor I will be surprised if these Border Patrol agencies, rank-and-file guys who are doing their jobs, are held to account faster than General Milley or Lloyd Austin, our Secretary of Defense, for the debacle in Afghanistan. You just wait and see who faces consequences first. Grant, we'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. Always look forward to the show. We'll talk to you soon.